Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sport. And just when talk about refereeing about World Rugby, or in this case SANZAAR, but rugby organizations have just sort of died down, a fresh incident has arisen with the Springboks unable to select Jasper Wiese as a result of delays in the process of citing from SANZAAR, which has left the Springbok management very, very frustrated. Yeah, I think equally quite sort of disgruntled about the whole thing. You can kind of understand the frustration as well with, the sort of uncertainty and the lack of sort of due process and consistency with the processes regarding sort of such an incident that we are seeing in the competition. And it kind of sort of all sort of circles back towards being able to move towards systems that work and favor both the organization, the competitions, and the teams, which is something that Rassie Erasmus actually sort of mentioned in his video, and was one of the main reasons that entire sort of video, sort of that whole Rassie Gate came out in the first place. Before we discuss this particular instance and what it sort of means, please do smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. So in naming his team earlier, Jacques Nienaber talked about the fact that Jasper Wiese has yet to have been sanctioned or have his hearing, and as a result could not be picked for the Springboks. Now, the frustration is that the hearing was supposed to take place on Monday at 5 o'clock in Australia, as was the case a couple of weeks ago with Jordie Barrett, where the hearing committee sat down on Monday, they made the decision, they cleared him, and the All Blacks then had, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday to train. But unfortunately, for some reason that has not been given by SANZAAR, this was unable to happen for Jasper Wiese, who was cited after receiving a yellow card in the 30 points to 17 loss against Australia late in the game. He has been cited for foul play, and he contravened the law 9.12, which states a player must not physically abuse anyone. So that is what he's been cited with. And look, a lot of people are sort of saying that they reckon he probably will face a ban. Although having said that, you look at sort of Jordie Barrett's incident and the fact that he didn't get a ban for that, and that sort of incident has been banned numerous times before. It's an interesting precedent that SANZAAR has set in terms of allowing Jordie Barrett to get away with that. And now we've got a whole separate incident with Jasper Wiese, a completely separate type of scenario, but foul play being the big sort of trigger word in and around the scenario. And whether he gets cited and whether he gets punished is actually beside the point. It's not the whole point of it here. The point is that SANZAAR has let the Springboks down and compromised the integrity of the competition by not being able to have their ducks in a line and be able to do the processes in time. Jasper Wiese needed to have been cleared or punished by last night, so the Springboks management could have had 3 practices and had the rest of the week to sort of plan for this. To only sort of have a hearing tonight, only be able to hear a decision tomorrow, is too late to make a call in terms of the player. They said that they've only got one more training session, and the captain's run on Friday before they go into the park, so they can't train as Jasper Wiese playing 8th man or off the bench or whatever, and stuff like that. And then he's not available, and they have to sort of change their structure. So that is the reason that he's been given, that he's not involved. Whether that would have factored the fact the 6-2 split or the 5-3 is we're not entirely sure. They might have still stuck with the 5-3 split. We might have had him ahead of Markov and Staden, but it does speak to our idea of different sort of processes for different teams. That's very frustrating because the whole process is in line, and you've got these structures in place so that you can say, right, game on Saturday. On Sunday, you have a review of the game, and you say, right, we are going to cite you. You will have a hearing on Monday, and so that by Monday night you are either cleared or you have been sanctioned, and the coaches then have 4 days. They've got the rest of the week to try and sort of plan for this. But this has not been the case, and you can understand the box sort of sentiment, the facts, and then they're saying, why, when Jordie Barrett gets sanctioned, do they manage to sort of sit down Monday, cool, sort it out, he doesn't get sanctioned, therefore you can pick him this weekend? And when it comes to the Springboks, first of all, nothing happens. Second of all, they haven't even been given a reason why. I think that's probably the biggest thing. If it is a genuine reason, if it is extraordinary circumstances, and as a result of whatever reason, they haven't been able to do it, that's one thing. But the lack of communication is actually just quite disrespectful, to be honest. To sit there saying, listen, we want to pick this guy. You've said you're going to cite him. You didn't sit down. Why haven't you sat down? Now I'm sitting here thinking I can't pick him because of sort of how unsure we are, uncertainty regarding the entire situation. But you could have the hearing tonight, and tomorrow you could clear him, and that's too late then. It's too late for me to pick him. It's too late for me to put him in the side. So it's very frustrating. I think that it's SANZAAR's let the Springboks down. both in not having the hearing itself, but also in communication. The number one thing, and that was the same thing, if we look at Rassie Gate, the whole point was not the referee decisions that were the issue. That was not the point of the video. If you think that is the point of the video, you missed the point. The whole point was the structures in place from World Rugby that don't allow for a successful review process with the officials. The fact that it takes so long, the fact that they can't get the information to the officials, get feedback from them, and use it within the sessions and be able to spend the week implementing what the feedback is. You can't do that if you're only getting the feedback, 3 days after the match, 4 days after the match, and just 2 days before the next match. That was the main reason why that at the end of the day, if the process was in place, like what had been previously happened, where you can engage the referees on the Sunday, get feedback, and from Monday you can implement that, Rassie Russell's video doesn't even surface. That was the reason the video surfaced in the first place. Yes, the whole video was talking about the inconsistency with calls and stuff like that, but the core reason as to why it surfaced is because they didn't get feedback from the referees in time. And they then, it leaked. Whether they did leak it is still up to debate. They're denying it. I think we all know it was probably one of those quite a planned leak. But a lot of it was challenged World Rugby in terms of the practices they have in terms of being able to chat to referees, in terms of getting feedback in time. And it speaks to a similar situation like this. At the end of the day, that's the system. And the system has now let us down. And there's been no explanation given. So you can understand NIENABER's frustration on the back of all the leak, on the back of all the criticism. So now I have a situation like this. You kind of just start feeling like the world's against you. So it is very frustrating because regardless of whether he would have been picked, I think he would have been picked. It shouldn't be in this situation. I mean, it's one thing is Jasper Wiese. Imagine that this was Andre Pollard, Damon Dalendi, Sia Khaleesi, Faf de Klerk, a key player in the side, and you're sitting there on Tuesday not knowing whether they can play or not. Imagine this was Quade Cooper for Australia or Michael Hooper for Australia. Imagine this was a Brodie Retallick for New Zealand, or Bowden Barrett. So the fact that it's just Jasper Wiese who's a bench player is not the point. The point is that the system has let the Springboks down, and it's something that needs to be reviewed, and it's very, very poor from SANZAAR not to provide a reason for it. Let me know what you think of the situation down in the comments below. Do smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel. The team has obviously been released. We did a video for that. We'll be breaking it down on a live show tomorrow night, as well on Thursday during a panel show. So make sure that you smash the like on the video. Turn your notifications on so you get the little notification whenever we do go live. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven, and I'll chat to you guys very soon.